Hello, welcome back. This is the third video of this Fusion 360 training video series. This video is a continuation of parametric modeling, and I'm going to continue on sketching. There are a couple more constraints. There are some important constraints I need to speak to you about. Then I will go through how to import an image and set it up as a background and use that image as a template as reference for you to create a sketch on it. All right, let's start with this drawing I gave you as an exercise. Before I come to that, I'll explain you some of the constraints I used here. There will be some new something I did not explain last video. There are these symmetry and concentric. So let me open up a new sketch and explain those constraints for. Open up a new sketch as usual. All right. So first of all, let's go ahead and create a rectangle. So when you go create rectangles, I'm not sure I explained it last time here. So in general, when you look at this toolbar configuration, so by default there are some buttons Autodesk placed for us here, but when you click on this create button with the drop down, you can have more options for that category. So rectangle, even though I have the button here for 2-point rectangle, 2-point rectangles, basically you click and click on 2 points. They are diagonally located, but there are other options to create rectangles. Example, if you go to rectangle, you got 3-point rectangle. 3-point, that means 1 point, another point, then the next point decides height of the rectangle. The first two points are for the length of the rectangle. The last point is for the height of the rectangle. Then there's another type of rectangle that we use most of the time, which is the center rectangle. It's basically first you where the diagonal lines are intersecting, that is what you are clicking on. That's going to be the center of the rectangle. Then you are free to move your mouse pointer to stretch your rectangle and change the dimensions later on. So those are the three type of rectangles. And also same with the circles as well. You got center diameter circle, you got 2-point, 3-point, and if you got some other lines as to be used as references, example like this 3 tangent circle, so you can use some shape like this. Click on this line, there's another line. When you click on the third line, you got the 3 tangent circle, and there's another one, 2 tangent, line, there's another circle. So depending on the application, depending on the shape you are, depending on the geometry you are trying to develop, there are multiple options you can choose of. Arc, you got 3-point, tangent, different kinds of arcs, slots. There are multiple options. Okay, so let me get rid of all this and start with our drawing right here. Okay, all right, so let me start with this rectangle. So notice in the previous video I told you about a convention, a good habit, starting from the origin, but I forgot to do that. So you can still drag and drop, or there's another constraint called coincident. You can use a coincident constraint. Click, and I already have selected that. Then click on the origin. There you go. It just snapped onto that. So 2 points, 2 lines, you can make them coincident. That means they're going to be placed on top of each other. Alright, so I got the rectangle done, but I haven't put the dimensions yet, but let's not worry about that for now. As I instructed for you in the previous video, so do the basic shapes at the very first step in the constraints, then at the end just worry about the dimensions. Alright, so let me get that sample picture into the screen. Okay. Alright. Alright, so next thing is I'm going to look at this corner here. There are a couple of ways of doing that. So first you may have thought of doing with a circle. Since you know how to do a what do you call the two tangent circle, you can use that actually. I click on this uh, long line, the short line, and then you can give it a dimension for that. But when you come to this level, you got a whole bunch of extra lines hanging out here, and all this part of the circle, we don't need them. So the tool I'm going to use to get rid of them is called trimming. So trimming is a modification tool. That is why we have them in the modify panel here. Okay, so I got some other tools in there. So trimming here. So when I activate the trimming tool, notice now my mouse pointer has changed. I can just simply click on the lines that I don't want. Click, boom, like that. So since they had some constraint there was a warning. So that's one way of doing that. Then undo that. Okay, so then there's another way of doing that with arcs. So let me go ahead and create a 3-point arc. I just go click here, and click here. So actually arc, bit of a work because you need to create the tangential constraints here. Tangent, click and click, otherwise it may not be tangent by get go. So then you need to again trim. Okay, so always I would say most of the time there is more than one way of doing the same thing. You as a designer, depending on your level of experience, you will know how to find the most efficient method to get a certain operation done. So in this case, the fastest method that I would recommend is using another modifying tool called fillet. So basically what the fillet does, it just fillet basically creating a tangential relationships of two lines. So when I click on fillet, and you just need to select the two lines, click and click, there it is. Only one step. Then you give a dimension here to 50, done. So actually in my case, alright, so I haven't given the dimension for the other one. That is why it looks totally different for the image here. So let me give a dimension for this long line here, make it 100. So now it's look more proportional to that. So at the beginning, it's maybe a good idea to give some dimensions to that, so that at least you can have some an idea of the sizes here. Okay, so that is the easiest. Now you know how to make a corner like this with the fillet, the easiest way. Okay, so now let's look at the what do you call constraints. So let me expand this a bit. So now I'm going to work on these two circles here. Okay, so if you look at this image here, I have another constraint called concentric. So what is concentric means? More than one circle sharing the same center. Collinear means there's the same line. So both of these this arc, obviously arc has a center, right, somewhere, and the circle I have, they're both sharing the same center. All right, smooth that aside. First of all, I'm just going to draw a circle and draw another circle because I know I'm going to need two circles there. Then I click escape to get out of that. Then I use the concentric constraint, click on the arc, then click on the circle. There you go. Now they are in the same center. So the next important thing is, all right, so I can have equal constraint for both of these circles. Now they are in the same size. And you can give dimensions as well, which is 45. Done. Okay, so now I look at the reference image again. So when I look at it, so I see there's a symmetry, and when you look at this line, that is totally different to the other model lines we have. So we call this a construction line. Construction lines are basically drawn for reference purposes only. So the construction line, okay, so there's a 60 circle and the center of that where the line starts, okay. So and these circles are so symmetry made with this line. So that means even when you move them around, they maintain the same distance. The centers of the circles are maintaining the same distance for this line. So if I explain that right here, so let me make a quick line here like that and make that a construction line by simply go to sketch palette and click on this construction here. Now that's a dotted line. So I can lock it by avoid that moving by simply clicking on this fix button. So now it's not gonna go anywhere. So I can draw one circle. There's another circle and make them equal, not parallel, equal. Okay, so and symmetric as well. Symmetric, click on that. So then I need to first click on the circles 1 and 2, then the symmetry line. Now I have the symmetry constraint applied on that. So if I grab one of these circles and move it across, okay, not that. Notice what happens. So the other one automatically try to maintain the same distance. So that is how the symmetry works. All right, so let me select all and delete here and create another circle somewhere there. Okay, now first of all, let me use trimming tool to get rid of the unnecessary lines. Done. Then use dimension here to 60. Good. So then my construction line, select that line, sketch palette, construction. Then I go to symmetry, select the circle, the next circle, and line. They are in symmetry. Okay, almost done. What else needs to be done here? And then finally give the dimension. So 160, that will be it. This line and this line, 160. 160 and this. You can see what's loose here. Okay, the radius. Okay, so we have, oh, that's all equal. So that's what I missed here. So it's important to observe and notice what are the constraints we have here. So all these circles are equal. So the moment I give equal to this and this, they all get fixed. That's it. So that's all the design. All right, so now let's move on to setting up a canvas. In this stage of your design project, I believe you already have some hand-drawn sketches of your design project, of your concept. So hopefully they will have some dimensions on them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import those sketches into Fusion 360 workspace. Then I'm going to use them in the background as a canvas to draw some sketches on it and develop the solid models using those sketches. So we can use that the concept of canvas for that purpose, or something like remodeling. That means I need to create a 3D model, a digital copy of an already existing product. For an example, I have this toy hammer, a plastic injection molded toy hammer. I need to create a 3D model of this one. So the approach for that is taking some pictures of orthographic primary views. So what do I mean by orthographic? That means I'm looking directly at it perpendicularly in those primary angles. Example, this is I can take this as a front view, and the next one could be the right angle, right side view, and the top view. So when you have all these three views together, I can trace along the edges and create some sketches. Then we can use those sketches to create our solid models. So there will be a detailed explanation about this orthographic and also the isometric views in your uh, lesson video about engineering drawings. So in your case, at this point, if you don't have any sketches drawn in these primary angles, I would recommend you to start from there. You can pause this video, or after this video of your concept, start drawing these primary views. Then we can use them in the canvases, like the process I'm going to explain you now, uh, to do the sketches out of them. Okay, so if you take pictures in your drawings, you will have dimensions, or in your mind you will have dimensions. But if you use this method, or taking canvas of uh, some product for this purpose, make sure you have some references to get some dimensions. You see, I have a ruler placed here right next to the object. It is important you have the ruler or a vernier caliper, or something that gives you the dimension sense, right close as possible to the object. Okay, so that will be useful for you to calibrate the canvas. Okay, all right, so let's get to Fusion and start working. Okay, I'm in the design workspace and solid tab, and when you go down the toolbar, I have this insert. So click on that insert button and it allows me to choose. So if you already have the images and files in your project, uh, in your data panel I showed you in the first video, you can directly get it from there, or you can simply uh, choose from your computer as well. There you go. I select the first one, front view first. So just because I named it as front view, Fusion doesn't know that's going to get applied into my front uh, plane here. So, I need to manually apply that to that particular view. So I'm going to use the view cube to guide me here. So that says front view is this, so that this one gotta be my front plane. So I click on that plane, then you can see that image is added to that. And I also got some handles here, so I can reposition them, I can scale them up, and I can also flip vertically, horizontally as well. So all these controls are given to me in this canvas palette right here. And the other important thing is the opacity. So I would not, so okay, let me go ahead and click on the front. So notice in the view cube, I can click on that view. So it's gonna get reoriented. So that is, it's orthographic to me. So I think this need to be flipped horizontally. Oops, other way. There you go. That's exactly how it looked in my image. And position it. So I would like you to have it symmetrical as possible, so I can manually move it, and also for better accuracy I can give a number here. So if I go 2, that's going to be too much, I think. So so by mistake I just clicked somewhere, I just lost my controls here. Don't panic, because this is the browser here. I was gonna talk about about the browser in the next lesson, but anyway, this is where you have your whatever you have in your drawing area. So your sketches, your solid bodies, all of them are listed in this browser section. So now, since I have the canvas added into this in this workspace, there's a new arrow here. There's a new file here saying canvases. So if I expand that, okay, hammer front view. So right click and edit canvas, I get those controls back again. So I can zoom in, zoom out with the mouse pointer anyway. Then I can move them that side a bit. That's maybe negative 0.5. Okay, that's better. That looks more symmetric. It doesn't have to be exactly in the center. We can, because we can adjust with the other shapes here. Okay, so next item is the calibration. So that is pretty important. That is very important, because that totally determines the size of your object. Okay, so I'll have this one. Then, so my ruler, it may not be very clear here, but you can get some guidance here. Actually, my next picture, my right side view has better accuracy than this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on insert again, insert from computer, right side view, open. Then it will ask me to select the plane. So I'm going to rotate this one around. What's the shortcut? How I'm going to orbit this view? Press on shift, middle mouse button, rotate around. Great. So I'm going to, this is right view. I'm going to click on this right plane. All right, that is added to that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to click on this left side view, because left, right, both looking at the same plane. So I can reorient it, move this way. Before that, let's do the calibration. Okay, so let me show you how the calibration is done. So when you look at it, when you look at the picture, you can see, all right, that is where the zero starts. They both of them on the flow, and it goes up till somewhere around 14.3. Yeah, all right, so 143 millimeters, that means. All right, so that is the size of the object. Okay, so I right click on the right view, then I go calibrate. So then I can select the longest 2 points, click, and click on the bottom. Then I get to enter the actual size. So right now it is showing actually 25 millimeters. So when I put 143, was it? Yeah, and press enter, it's going to boom, an instant expansion. All right, so that is now this image in real life size. Oh yeah, one more thing, in this view cube there are some arrows pointing at the box. Click on them. Now I'm looking at the front view, and even here I can calibrate front view, calibrate from bottom to top. 143. Perfect. So I can always right click, edit canvas. So do this as soon as you import the canvas. The first thing you're going to do is calibration. Notice, otherwise it's going to jump around my and change the position. You're gonna redo that work again. So change it after you calibrate. You can change it, change the size. Let's make it 2.5. Spot on. And also the other thing is the opacity. Edit canvas. So canvas opacity. So you don't want to have it 100%. So that way it's going to, the visibility of your sketch gonna get hurt that way. So you can maybe, so I usually prefer a number around 40. So that way it's decent level of visibility there, which is not obstructing your sketch lines. Let's revise that process by adding the top view. Just click on the insert button, insert by computer, and click on the top view. Then reorient your model into a position you can select the correct plane, top view. So that's already added, but you can scale it up so you can see the features of it. And clearly it is not in the correct orientation. And I see, can look at the top view. Okay, so that has to be rotated. Oops, wrong side. There you go. Okay, need to be rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. So this is the rotation handle. That way I go 90. Okay, so that's about right. So then we click on the top view and work on the calibration. Okay, so right click on the top view canvas, calibrate, and that is 13.3 minus 5.5, maybe 7.8. So that could be, so 78 millimeters. Click and type 78. That should do. So then reorient it along this axis here. So yep, that's the center one. I right click on that, edit canvas, move it across. How much would that be? Negative 12, negative 12.5. Oopsie. Control Z, negative 12.5. Perfect. So I can see that injection molding line is exactly sitting on the axis. Perfect. Okay, so the final step on this canvas is aligning those views. Okay, so let's have a look around. So the top view is actually showing something, this hammer head where my mouse pointer is at, that section. So this is actually not a cross section, so it's really difficult to have the exact position and just to represent all the features. So we can do as close as we can. So I'll go to front view. What I'm going to do, I'm going to have this top face sitting on the x-axis right here. So I'll move it down. Front view, right click, edit canvas, move it down to 65, 60, maybe 62, negative 62. Okay, so that should be about right. Then I go to the right side view. That's way off in both directions. So I right click, hammer right view, edit canvas. This way it has to go 20, 15. So let's make it 17, no, 18, about right. And this direction, okay, that should do. When I say okay and have a look around, rotating this, now we just need to adjust the top view. Okay, so just look at the proportion. So when you create your sketches, think about this difficulty I'm in right now. So have some references of your sketches so that you can easily do this process, the aligning process here. Okay, so I click on the top view, hammer top view. So you don't have to be on the orthographic view. You can have it in different angle like this. Also in the view cube, these are we call hotspots. So you can click on this hotspot between top and front, so you can see both views like this. Top view, edit canvas. Slightly move this way. I think 8, -8. Okay, I think that will do. So now I have all three views added as canvases. Now we can go ahead and do some sketches on it. So as the last step of this video, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some another tool called Spline. So Spline is a very good sketching tool, very powerful sketching tool to draw some organic shapes like what we have here. Okay, so that located in so click on sketch. Now we can select the front plane. That is where my drawing here, my canvas already placed in. So I can click on, so fit point spline, that is what I'm going to use here. So if you go to create, and there will be two kinds of splines here, fit point spline and control point spline. So control point is not suitable for this application. Control point is mainly used for like some primary surfaces with the large scale ones for extra smoothness. So if you got some lot of curvature changes like in this example, I recommend you to use this fit point spline. So how the spline works is you click on that, activate that tool. So now basically you're just clicking on the points that you change the curvature. So let me start from this top end here. Click and click, click, click. So I go around clicking on this. So the lesser the number of points gonna be easier for you, even though you can see you think that will have more control, but it can get bit messier if you got large number of points. Go around this. It doesn't have to be precise because you're going to see in a minute how much of a variability you can have on these splines here. So you can see the shadow is bit not being very helpful. So when you use canvas with actual products like this, try to avoid the shadow with some direct lighting. I'll close it here and press on escape to come out of the tool. So now we can see that's a bit of a mess here. Why is that? Because every dot I have, every point has this thing called this handle. So I click elsewhere, now all of them disappeared, but when I click on this one of the dots, they appear. So that pretty much decides the curvature of this point, this line here. So notice when I just expand them, now it has a large curvature. When it comes closer, it's very sharp curvature. So you can adjust that. Then you can also move these points here, move them closer, and also we can twist this to get the intended curvature. So I need to expand them a bit and bring them down and rotate around. So you can play around with these points and their handles to match with the image curvature here. So let me go down a bit here, and this point definitely I need to go like that. Okay, and I also need to reduce the curvature. There you go. See how it nicely matched there? And here I also need to reduce the curvature, bring them down and move this down a bit and reduce the curvature on that and twist it a bit. So you can play around with it. this one. Cool. You can add or remove control points to a spline anytime you want. Just say simply, I don't want this particular point here. I can click on that and press the delete key. That's gone. Then if I want to add one, I can right click on the spline, anywhere on the spline, right click. Then in this menu, click insert spline fit point. Click on that. Now you can see a cross in the mouse pointer. When you touch the spline, then find the place you want to add a point and click. There you go. So that is the new uh, spline fit point. So that has the control features. You want to control the curvature. All right, so that is a spline tool which is part of the sketching. That's why I decided to teach that with this tool in this lesson. Okay, so you can create a sketch with organic shapes with spline tool, and later on you can use it to extrude and create a solid out of it. That is what going to be our next video lesson. All right, so uh, at your own time, try to do the same process I just did in this exercise. Take a picture of one of the organic shapes like I did of this sketch, or start with your own project. Your project sketch, create some sketches in these orthographic views like this, and import them into this Fusion 360 interface through as a canvas. Align them, reorient them, then start sketching on top of them. Okay, in the next video I'll go through how to develop solids out of them, then make parts, bodies and assemblies, all these terms I'll go through them. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.